This on StreamYard?
Yep,
Wow.
yep. Put this on stream, y'all. We live now, though, boss. Hey,
Okay, all right.
all right. Party people in the place to be. You know who I am, the number one chief rockin' Knicks Universe, main man, Uncle Freezie. I'm joined here by Stephanie, aka the Queen of Dope Soul Sports Talk. The reason why I'm doing the introduction is because I found that we've come across new viewers and things of that sort. So, welcome to the new subscribers. For all of for everybody that's been here, our day ones, you already know what it is. You already know what we about to
Yes,
get into,
yes.
right? Like this ain't gonna have we trimming all the fat off. We're not gonna be out here fluffing stuff up. We just gonna get straight to the nitty gritty. Queen B, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good, Freezy. You can hear me okay?
Yeah, yeah, your
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Y'all know I'm out here on this country internet, so let me know if my video and my audio is messing up. But I'm feeling really good, Freezy. It's good to be back with you. I don't remember the last time we've done a show together, so I'm super excited about what's to come in this show and others, and connecting with the audience. So let's get it.
Let's get
And the Knicks
yeah,
Saturday, the
yeah.
playoff game.
I can't wait, man. I'm excited, man, excited. But let me start by asking you this, right? And oh, well, let me first do this. Everybody, y'all know Ron from Still Knicks fans is the big homie. I put his a link to his
Yes.
video in this chat in the description. And please click on it and watch it all the way through to the end. Ron, that's our guy.
Okay.
We so out here supporting each other. Content creators out here
For sure.
supporting each other. So the homework I'm giving you is click on that video, subscribe to Dope Soul Sports Talk, right? Go back and watch the catalog of videos, and that way you can kind of track our path. And that way you
Yes.
can project our course going forward. Because if you know who we are, right? If you know who we are, then you'll know what we'll talk about going forward and how that impacts you. So what I'm going to say is make sure you subscribe, watch the videos, all of that. To all the new folks that are trying to decide whether to subscribe, trying to figure out what this thing is dope. It's so dope.
It's dope. It's dope.
Is I was gonna say it's so dope. Somebody put it in the name of their channel. So right. So okay. So here we go. Right. So Queen Bee, I'm gonna just get straight to it. Right. I'm gonna ask you: do Knicks fans have Tom Thibodeau fatigue?
What do you mean by that?
Or
Like
Knicks?
tired of him?
Well, not tired of him, but maybe like a lot of things in life, when you do it for so long, you know how you get used to it, and you just like, you know what, it's time for something new, right?
Mm.
Are we at that place, or are Knicks fans just disgusted or just upset about the course that where the Knicks are? Like, how do you feel about where Knicks fans are with Tom Thibodeau?
I think the criticism of Tom Thibodeau by most Knicks fans are fair. Um, I think I'm curious about the timing. Like some people wanted him fired before we even played one playoff game with with this particular team. But I don't think it's just that, oh, he's been here so long, we need him to go. I think some Knicks fans feel like even though we won 51 games, that we could have gotten more out of this team. I think some fans think that, particularly the more knowledgeable Knicks fans, and by that I mean that understand the ins and outs of an NBA offense, right, and could really break it down. A lot of us don't, but some of us do know about NBA schemes and things of that sort. Will feel like Tom Thibodeau hasn't put the team or a particular players in the best position to win and be effective. That he's slow in his adjustments. So I think those criticisms are fair. I think for me, it's about the results. Um, you know, if Tom Thibodeau doesn't get, I don't have to agree with his philosophy or agree with his schematics, but if it gets the job done, hey, if it doesn't, you got to leave. But there are some Knicks fans that want him to go just based on process, just based on knowing what I know about the playoffs, seeing what I'm seeing in terms of schematics and adjustments. I don't think he's our guy. I don't need to see it play out. I think he should go.
Right. Right. See, it's a very, in my mind, it's a very delicate matter, right? And it's delicate to me in that um, process fatigue is a real thing, right? Process fatigue legitimately is a real thing. It's one of the reasons why people drop out of school, right, after going through a process. It's the reason why people stop going to the gym because
Hmm.
the process fatigue is a real thing, right?
Facts.
And then when you have somebody that values the process, right, as much as Tom Thibodeau does, and doesn't stray away from the process, I can understand where the human element of being a Knicks fan can have you in a place where there is some Tibbs fatigue, right? And notice, none of this has to do with, I never mentioned anything about what he does on the court, adjustments, rotations, or any of that stuff. What I'm saying is as a human, at times, if you work towards a result and you stay at it and you don't get the desired result, you just get fatigued by the process. But I'll give an example. I'll give an example, right? When I was a young man, I was out in the streets searching for love, just searching, 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 searching. As a young man now, this is me, right? Searching, 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 right? And then you search so long, you just like, man, I'm gonna just do me, and if it happened, it happened, right? That's me as a young man, right? This is like me, 22, 23, 24. You kind of seeing your friends move in and out of relationships. You see your friends happy. You see your friends like, oh, you moving, y'all moving in together. Like that's the thing, right? But then with me, I was on that path for so long. I was like, you know what? If it happened, it happened. And then I met a lady from the Bahamas. She's from Miami, but she really from the Bahamas, right? And so that happened. And I can see where if a person that goes to the gym routinely over and over and over and over again to get to a certain thing, and after a while they don't get the result, they're like, man, I'm gonna just eat cheeseburgers. And
Hmm.
so I think that's what I'm asking the chat in a sense. Is that where we are? Like some of you Knicks fans, are you in that place where the Thibodeau thing you can bear with it, and the roster changing every year you can deal with it, but are you maybe fatigued that this thing has been on the court? This will be the fifth complete season, and the Knicks haven't been in a championship situation, whether it's Eastern Conference or NBA Finals.
So I think that's a little different. Or I guess maybe my understanding of the question is different because with that, I agree with you. But it just doesn't seem to be the way the NBA is going today. I believe in process. I believe that when you have a championship contending team, you have to give them an opportunity to meld. You have to give them an opportunity to go through growing pains. It's a process. You don't just put a team together, even if they're a championship contending team on paper. It it just doesn't happen because you're good on paper, right? Like you have to go through. You got to go through some things. So but that's not the NBA that we're in now, and I don't think that's just the fans. You could just see it from other organizations as well. They want things quickly, not a lot of process. Even if you have been successful, you're not getting a lot of benefit from what you've done in the past. It's about right now, and that's why we've seen a lot of coaches get let go. And I think, at least for our fan base, seeing those those successful coaches get let go has turned up the heat even more, if it was possible, in our fan base
Right.
on um, on Tom Thibodeau. I think one thing we have to be careful. I don't think you don't make a change because you're afraid. Like you, if you feel you need to make a change, you make the
Yeah,
change.
yeah, yeah, you can't.
But
Yeah.
but you might take a step back before you take a step forward. That's possible as well.
Okay. Okay. I feel you on that. And the reason why I'm asking if there's Tibbs fatigue is because when I look at other championship contenders, when they get to a certain place, there's usually some type of transition, whether there's a new star player or there's a new head coach. And I'll give the example of the Boston Celtics, right?
Hmm.
The Boston Celtics, in this era of Boston Celtics, has had three young head coaches, right? Three young head coaches. And I emphasize young, and not that they bring innovation, but the Celtics were willing to take a chance on three young, unproven head
Hmm.
coaches. Not
Hmm.
because they're smarter, but because Boston was willing to step out on a limb and try something different in order to get a result. And if the and so I'm gonna say a thing, and it's gonna sound mad crazy that I'm gonna be defending Tibbs, right? But the Celtics had three coaches, right? When you look at the Lakers, who look to contend all the time,
Hmm.
if you can't get it right, you're gonna have to try to get it right somewhere else, right? And the Lakers won the championship in 2020. The Toronto Raptors won the championship in 2019. They've changed coaches, I think, three times since then, right? And for us, when if we um, bury ourselves in a traditional thought, thinking, you know, only you got to give this one person the opportunity to figure it out. I don't know if that is um, the standard that we should go by. Not when, not in an era where standards change about every 3 years. Now, what I will say is that I find that Tom Thibodeau has done an outstanding job trying to change things up. Our only thing is the roster, like most NBA rosters, has pros and cons to it. And so when you stack the roster with players that are great at one thing and maybe be deficient in other things, when you try new things, you don't know if it's going to play to their strength or their weakness, because when you draw it up on a whiteboard, the white when you draw it up on a whiteboard, it looks a certain way, but then when you put it in practice, it may look a different way, right? So
Right.
when we say stuff like Tom Thibodeau doesn't try such and such on offense, he doesn't try such and such on defense, we have to understand that he has personnel that he has to get comfortable with these new things that he wants to implement. And if they're not comfortable with it, you don't have a true indicator of if that thing works or if that player is just not comfortable with it.
Comfortable, Freezy, or just not able to do it, like, and because of a lack of skill set. We want to have a top 10 defense. Is that possible with Carl Anthony Towns and Brunson and Bridges, playing well defensively some games, not other games? Hart playing well defensively some games, not. You understand? When you got those two guys, your other three guys got to be on point,
Right. Right.
you know, all the
Fact,
times.
facts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But understanding what you just asked,
Hmm.
what if you throw a brand new thing into that mix? Based on what you just said,
Hmm.
what if you throw a brand new thing into that mix of what you just asked me? And that what gets me to a point where I think Tom Thibodeau, for the most part, has done an outstanding job of bringing in, getting all new players basically, because OG missed a lot of time last year, so he didn't get a
Yeah.
lot of time to play with us. Bridges is new, Cat is new, Cameron Payne is new. Landry Shamet is new, right? Then you have all those rookies down there on the bench. The Knicks have 5 rookies on the rock: Anton Watson, Pacom Dadier, Tyler Kolek, Kev McCullough, and
Up 40.
Hug Party. Yeah, so you have 5 rookies. Whether they play or not, you still have to teach them and bring them along, right? And then you have the guys here, the 1 year vets, who know they're 1 year vets, right? And so they're looking to win, but they also are thinking about their mortality. Like, hey, if I don't stick here,
Mhm.
am I gonna be in China next year? So all these things, and then you ask Tom Thibodeau to, hey, when the offense bogs down, try a brand new offense. And so it puts you in a thing where how much can we ask Tom Thibodeau to do under these circumstances, right? And the easy answer is all of it and win a championship because that's what fans want. Is that the correct answer, though, Queen?
Um, I get the limitations. I get the context of in which Tom Thibodeau is trying to operate this season, in terms of roster construction and the team being new. I think it comes down to whether or not you feel like he's gotten the most, even with that context, do you feel like he's gotten the most out of this team? And if you can say, given that context, he's gotten the most out of this team, including the injury to Brunson and other players, then yeah, you could say that, things is fine, give him an opportunity to fail. But if you feel like, look, even given the context and the roster construction, and some fans feel like this, the Knicks should be better and should have showed better, particularly against these, elite teams, then Tom Thibodeau is not going to be given uh, grace. Let's just put it that way. He's not going to be given grace. I guess it depends on how much you're taking the context into effect account.
Right, right. What I would say, the grace thing, no, you don't get grace as an NBA head coach. Sorry, it's just a part of the business. Do I think we should reconsider how we think about Tom Thibodeau? Absolutely, right? Absolutely. Now, do we give him more time? No. Tom Thibodeau has been an NBA head coach for 12 seasons. He spent 5 years of that here, right? So the new team thing or not, I get it. I get it. I know, you know, the new team thing is, but listen, the Knicks are going to add players next year too. Are we going to also say kick the can down the road? He's got new players this year too, because we may not be able to retain Precious, Campaign, Landry Shamet. And so the mix may look different next year. Or then is next year, are we going to say, well, the team is different? Because the team has looked different for Tom Thibodeau just about every year. There's the Alfred Payton era, the Kemba Walker era, the Alec Burks era, the Jalen Brunson era, the Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart era, the Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Carl Anthony Towns McCalvert. I mean, so things are going to change. If in the grand scheme of things, are we asking Tom Thibodeau to win a championship once the team develops chemistry? I think that may be the slipperiest of all the slopes that we mentioned, because the other part to it is Tom Thibodeau is not one of those cutting edge young coaches that want to try everything. And I'm not calling him old because I value age. I'm older and I value age and experience. I have gray hairs all throughout this beard that I keep hiding from y'all every day. I keep putting stuff on it so y'all won't see them, right? I value age. I look at age as experience. So if there's a thing with Tom Thibodeau, yes, I absolutely would like to see Tom Thibodeau see this thing through. But I would also like to see Tom Thibodeau get to a place where the obvious questions are no longer obvious questions. Queen B, you see what I'm saying? Like the obvious critiques should not be obvious critiques of Tom Thibodeau, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I, I think at the end of the day, Tom Thibodeau has to get results. I hear what you're saying. If you understand the game well enough, in this situation, this adjustment should have been made. In this particular situation, this um, rotation would have been better. Tom Thibodeau is going to be fired because he doesn't get results, and that's the bottom that's the bottom line with it. And I think that's fair. Um, I think though that there is when we talk about the Knicks being successful in the playoffs, a lot of attention is put on Tom Thibodeau. Not a lot of attention is being put on the players. So I think that as a fan base, or I should speak for myself, just really wanting to discern if the Knicks lose a game, if the Knicks lose to Detroit, God forbid, if the Knicks lose this series, how much of it was Tom Thibodeau's and his schematics and his rotations, and how much of it was players just not showing up? How much of it was players not taking advantage of the scheme? And you could be able to see the difference. I think for a lot of us is if we lose, Tom Thibodeau didn't make adjustments, and that's why we lost. If we win, oh, Tom Thibodeau was doing great. Yeah, Tom Thibodeau is Tom Thibodeau. We just won the game. But I think we need to be able to discern how much of it is the coach and how much of it is the players. Everybody's talking about Tom Thibodeau is coaching, for his job, and we want to see how he does in this playoff. But when you think about this being the beginning of the Knicks championship window, I'm looking at a lot of players. I'm looking at Brunson as well. This is another level. It's one thing to be the best player on an ascending team. It's another thing to be the best player on a championship or near championship contending team. Your floor game has to be better, decision making, all of those things. I'm looking at that. I'm looking at Brunson as well. I'm looking at Towns, who doesn't have a stellar playoff record. How is he going to do um, in this series? And how much of it, if he's not able to play his game, how much of it is Tom Thibodeau not making adjustments to put him in the best position to be his best self? How much of it is him taking good shots in a good scheme but just missing? And how much of it is him just being AWOL? You know what I'm saying? So I'm really interested in these playoffs for Tom Thibodeau, but there are other players, in my opinion, that I'm watching as well.
Right, right. Wow, I found I was a fanboy just now. Like I'm listening, I'm like, yeah, dang, you heard what she said? In my mind, I'm
Yeah.
fanboying right now, y'all. So salute to the chat, man, everybody. Just real quick, just want to say thank you everybody for watching. Replay gang, salute to y'all because I know y'all gonna come out in strong numbers. Salute to the replay gang. Um, man, y'all hit that like button, subscribe to the channel.
Mhm.
It's a few of us small Knicks content creators, man. We just trying to get we just trying to get to the big boy table, so to speak. So man, y'all subscribe to Still Knicks fans. Y'all subscribe to Dope Soul Sports Talk. Subscribe to Lawrence Tears, man. Hit the like button. Continue to come back and view. And if you like conversations like this one, man, put comments in the comment sections during the replay, man, to let people know how much you appreciate certain conversations and certain topics
Mm.
that we talk about that you want to hear more of. And if you let us know what you want to hear more of, then we can kind of cater shows around what it is that you want to hear. Now, will we always agree? I'm Uncle Freezie. Y'all already know the vibe. But but contribute. Let us know what it is that you like about this show and everything that the Queen does on Dope Soul Sports Talk and what Ron
Mhm.
does on Still Knicks fans, man. Show some love because we definitely gonna show some love to y'all, whether y'all know it or not. We gonna shout y'all out, show y'all mad love, man. Show y'all how much we appreciate y'all being here. So Queen Bee, that was my thing about Tibbs. I found myself being fascinated by what you were saying just now. I don't know if I have anything. I'm just gonna say that I agree with you. Is that a crime or is that a crime on a live
No,
stream to not have
no,
anything
no,
to
no.
say? Just disagree. I think that might be a crime because usually people want you to argue about whatever it is. So, all right, let me ask this: How into you are, or how yeah, how deep are you are into the things that happen in the Knicks reality versus what you hear in Nick's social media? Like how much what's the word? Credence? How much credence
Hmm.
do you give what you hear on social media, whether it's YouTube, X, Instagram, about the Knicks versus what we think might be real? And how and the perception of real, how much is actually real?
Yeah. Um, I think if a take is nuanced enough, I'll listen to it. Whether I agree with it or not, I will listen. I will listen to it. Um, if it's not a nuanced take, and I just feel people are just riding a narrative, not looking at both sides and coming like, looking at both sides and saying, I understand that, but this is where I am. I can get with that. But my experience has been in the Knicks fan base is that the conversation around this team, the Knicks, um, anything that has to do with the team, in my opinion, a lot of times is just not nuanced enough for me. And so I find myself just strolling through pretty quickly.
So because nuanced is a broad word, I'm just going to ask: Is it that the takes are not well thought out? Are these takes you're thinking are just emotional knee jerk takes that are not thought out, but then people hop on it because people share that emotional throughway to get to a point? Like you remember
Yeah,
when
that's
people say
fair. That's
Randall
fair.
sucks? Remember Randall sucks?
Yeah,
Randall sucks. And all he did was make the All Star team what three times, maybe or whatever, make All NBA two times, whatever it was while he was here.
right.
And so
But for those, but I would listen to somebody who would say, despite the fact that he made the All-Star team twice, despite the fact that he was All NBA twice, there's aspects of his game that I don't think works for this team, or the way this team is constructed, I'm not sure we'll be able to win with him. Despite that, like I
right,
can get with that.
you're right, right.
I could get with that. But those who's just like, so like people who would call Anthony Towns, so what? I don't care about his offense. He don't play defense. So I don't care about his offense. I'm like, what? You know? But when it comes to Mitchell Robinson, oh, we need Mitch. Now, Mitch is as one dimensional as Cat is, But as a fan base, a lot of us value defense. So we will overlook Mitchell Robinson's one dimensional game, but we're going to hone in on Cat's one dimensional game because he's not playing the aspect of the game that we value. Both of them create challenges for the Knicks. Cat not playing defense creates challenges for the Knicks. Robinson, now his role is small right now, so it may not be that big of a deal. But when he was playing more minutes, his lack of offense created challenges for the Knicks. So if we want to have like those full discussions, I'm all for it. I love those discussions. But people are like, "Yo, Cat is a bum. He don't play defense." Like I'm like, I can't. I just can't.
I feel you. I would love to have that. You think we can do that in about 5 minutes? Just like do that in within a 5 minute
Sure,
time frame, or
sure,
or
sure.
you think that's too broad?
We could try.
All right, because
We could try.
I was gonna say, because the Mitch Hive is deep. So let me first say this. Shout out to my guy Mitchell Robinson, who I absolutely adore to the bottom of my heart. Right. So I follow Mitchell Robinson on Instagram, and just following his development from the young awkward dude that we drafted in the second
Yeah.
round to where he is right now is night and day. How that man has developed as a person. Right now, mind you, this is listen to what I'm saying, everybody. I adore Mitchell Robinson, the person, the man. I follow him. I see the things he does with his family and the community, and all these type things. I adore Mitchell Robinson. I wish I look at him like because I think he's like around the same age as my youngest son, right? And so when I see him, I'm like, man, this man, he just doing the right. Like he looks like he has the right people in his ear. We couldn't always say that in those early years.
Hmm.
Those early years, we was kind of like, something ain't quite. Yo, you firing the agent, and you remember that? And you firing the agent like every 6 months.
Hmm.
Remember that era of Mitch? We were trying to figure it out.
Hmm.
But what I will say about Mitch and Cat, I don't think there's even a comparison, right? The Knicks wouldn't take 12 Mitchell Robinsons for a Carl Anthony Towns, period, right? But Mitchell Robinson is a quality NBA player, right? Mitchell Robinson is a quality contributor to a team that wants to win, right? The Mitchell Robinson, Carl Anthony Towns conversation to me is one of there's nothing else to talk about. We're just going to talk about Cat's defense. And so the thing is, Cat's defense is good. His rim protection is terrible, right? You never saw Cat on the perimeter guarding somebody and it was like Olay, right? We watched the Celtics game. We watched Cat on a bad knee get blown by Jason Tatum on a bad knee, and then we say Cat can't guard. When we know Cat shouldn't even play that Saturday night game, but since it's a primetime game, the NBA wants all your stars to play if
Hmm.
they can play, right? But why was Cat guarding Jason Tatum? It's because people know that in an ideal situation, he can do it. I'm not saying lock down Tatum. Nobody's locking down Jason Tatum. We saw Jason Tatum hit a game tying three over OG and Anobi the other day, right? We know nobody's locking down Jason Tatum. But his defense, Cat's defense, is not bad. It's that one aspect of it that's it makes me so every time I see Cat in drop coverage, I just want to gouge my eyeballs out, right? But at the same time, anywhere else on the floor, Cat's not bad like we say he's bad, right? But
Are you putting rim protection and pick and roll together
no, I'm
as
no.
one aspect? Because I think he's not good in either one of those.
Oh no, I'm talking about no. I'm talking about rim protection. I'm not even talking about even in pick and roll defense yet,
Okay.
right? I'm not talking about pick and roll. I'm talking about when another team attacks the rim and he's looking at the rim, looking to grab the rebound. Like, hey, bro, if you put a hand up, you could probably grab a rebound, right?
Right.
You 7 foot with your hands down at the rim, and it may be a make or a miss, all depending on because you didn't care to put a hand up,
Right.
right? Now the pick and roll coverage, I'll leave that one for you because I feel a type of way about that one too.
I don't like his pick and roll defense, but and I hear people saying that we should probably bring him up to the level of the to the screen, but Cat is foul prone. Like I think part of the drop coverage is just to keep him away, because he's he picks up fouls. So neither one is ideal. Drop or stepping up. Neither one of them is ideal for him. And
Right.
I was gonna say because we rely on him so much on offense, we don't want him to get into foul trouble. But I don't think we rely on him enough, in my opinion. But you still don't want him in foul trouble.
Right. 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 Yeah, I agree with you. Cat in the lane, his lane defense is I almost cussed just that. I think he just doesn't care.
Freezy, this is what I'm saying. Team, so I think he's fine in space laterally. I agree with you. You don't
Yeah.
want to put him on Tatum for the entire game, but if he's switched out in space, I think he does okay. His
Right.
his post defense, I think, is solid
Right.
as well. Rim protection, pick and roll defense is another story. But team defense, where he has to just rotate to your spot and be where you're supposed to be, it's such a big deal for him. Like, to me, that's just plain laziness.
He don't
You
care.
can you can see it's not even like he's not picking up fouls because he's trying to get over there and he's getting there late and he's picking up foul. He's not even trying to get to the spot. He's
Right,
just gonna watch they could have started at the 3-point line. He could have seen them coming down the lane, had ample time to take a step or two over to get in the way, and he just chooses not to do it. That to me is the most frustrating part. Now, sometimes he is in space in his spot, and it makes no difference. They just score right over him. I'm
right,
okay with that. You're where you're supposed to be. They score over you. I'm okay with that. But so many times he just decides he's not going to rotate over when he has time to.
right,
It's the most frustrating part of watching him play on defense.
right. Yep. I agree with you. But you know what though? What frustrates me even more than that? What frustrates me even more than that is if you know, because here's the thing. Here's the thing that the challenge that Cat has,
Hmm.
right? If Bridges and OG are guarding on the perimeter,
Hmm.
that means Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart are his weak side rim protection, right? And so if you know that, why are you not um, energetic getting over because you know there's a size advantage at disadvantage at the rim if they pull you away,
Right.
right? And so the thing is, we can't switch Josh Hart and OG, right? Because two reasons. For one, Josh Hart's not a good defender, and two, OG Anunoby's not a good rebounder. You just can't
Hmm.
switch them, right? You just can't switch them, right? OG's not going to get you 10 rebounds in the game. That's not his thing.
But why though? All
I
right,
get
that's a discussion for another. That's a discussion for another day.
yeah, I get yeah. And so shout out to Ogugwa. That's my second favorite player. Miles Bridge, Mikael Bridges, and OG are my heartstrings, y'all. I can't help it, right? But yeah, the thing about Cat's defense is just that, right? You know we have a disadvantage if you're away from the if you're away from the rim. Just like the saying goes, if the cat is away, people are going to score on Jalen Brunson. That's
Hmm.
just what it is, right? Because people, Queen Bee, people are like, yo, man, Jalen Brunson, man, he played hard, man. Jalen Brunson take charges. Jalen Brunson doesn't take charges on a perimeter. You know where Jalen Brunson takes charges at? At the rim. Because what he does is he cuts off drivers at the rim. He know he can't block their shot. So instead of letting them get to their launch pad and dunk on them, he'll beat them to the spot, right?
Hmm.
And what that does is if he fouls and picks up a foul, good. Now they got to shoot free throws. But in the happenstance that he beats them there, that's a turnover for their team. That's a dead ball turnover, right? That's a dead ball turnover. We stop the play, we get the ball back, right? That's a part of defense, right? But in terms of Cat, I think there is legitimately an element with a offensive player that rebounds that you're not going to get offense, defense, 3-point shooting, and rebounding. As Knicks fans, we just have to come to grips with that. If that even the greatest
It's really
centers who have
hard.
ever played cannot do all four of those things. It's the fitted sheet theory. If you get 3-point shooting and scoring and rebounding, the other side of the fitted sheet is going to pop off on the other side of the bed. That's the defense,
Freezy,
right?
he can't rotate over though. I get what you're
I
saying,
wish. I
like
wish.
being a defensive demon and blocking shots and all of that. I understand that part, but you can't just in the scheme of the team defense, you can't just rotate over to where you're supposed to be. Like, is that too much?
You asking me? You know I want him to rotate over.
But no, no, I'm saying I agree with what you're saying, but
Right,
in terms of your theory,
right,
that you can't expect everything from him given the 3-point shooting, the offense, the rebounding. Do
right.
you think him the rotation is too much to ask? Like I agree with you. Like we want you to do all of that, and we also want you to lock down Giannis. We want you to do all of that. And we also want you to lock down Joker. We want you to block shots. We want you to patrol the paint. I get
Right,
what you're saying. That takes a lot of energy.
right.
But do you think just being where you're supposed to be on team defense, you think that's too much,
Um,
given what he's doing on the offensive end?
so I have two things to that. So I agree with you. So the question is not for me. Basically, it's for Cat, right? Cat, can you at least bring your defense up from in that area of the floor? Can you bring it up from being poor, atrocious, to average? Because that makes a significant difference.
A sick
You,
Freezy. We're underestimating the difference it makes. Because if our defense is that much better, there's certain things we don't have to do on the defensive end. You know, maybe we don't have to play Mitchell Robinson as much if our defense is adequate. Maybe we don't have to play Precious as much as our defense is adequate. Maybe now we can go with we can't say five out because we got Josh Hart, Josh Hart there, but when you got to take out Cat and you got to bring in Mitchell Robinson and Josh Hart, it just changes things for us. And that's because he's just not an adequate defender.
yeah, yeah. I will say this. This is part two or part B of my response is that if Cat is able to do that, right, just fix shore up that part, right, then I think you can get more offense out of OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges because they can do less on defense. And when I say less, I don't mean effort and
Right,
assignment wise. What I mean
right,
is the energy that they put into it to um, recover for Cat. Like just imagine if they only had to deal with their responsibilities and not have the responsibilities of other non-defenders on the floor. Now you see their offense be more efficient because they use more energy. But
right,
Queen B, the thing I was
right,
going to say is it's two things with that, right? If we ask Cat to do more, right? If we ask Cat to do more, now we're asking, you know, God to almost be a two-way player, and now we're at two-way players don't stay healthy, right? They just don't. And listen, I know somebody's gonna find an example of a random two-way player that stayed healthy. They might tell me OG and Anunoby stayed, but OG and Anunoby was only a two-way player for March and April. OG and Anunoby was a complementary player offensively for a large portion of the year, right? So the thing is with shooting the three, rebounding, being the offensive hub, being at least below average on defense and staying healthy is a lot of stuff for an NBA player. But the second part to it
mhm,
is, I think the second year in Tom Thibodeau defensive scheme with like a full off season to understand these principles and go through a legit training camp with the Knicks, I think will improve Karl Anthony Towns' defense. And I think that's one of the things that we don't necessarily speak to as much. And I know people are gonna be like, "Yeah, Cat played for Tibbs before. He played for Tibbs before. That was before. That's not now. Both men are different, right? Is the system the same? It better not be the same as it was 10 years ago. Because if Tom Thibodeau was running an outdated defensive system, then he got to go, right? Because that was there were deadly 3-point shooters in the league. Now the whole league is deadly 3-point shooters.
facts.
Yeah, everybody, man, y'all subscribe to the channels, man. Make sure y'all hit that like button. I got the little snail going across the bottom, man. I put share in the middle. I probably should have put share at the beginning, man. Y'all share these shows. Make sure you share the love for Queen B. Everything. Listen, the great things that Queen B is doing on Dope Soul should not go past open eyes, right? It should not go past open eyes, man. Make sure y'all check out Dope Soul Sports Talk. Make sure you check out Jeff, who always trying to come up with the tough questions. Jeff, I see you, boy. I ain't trying to come up with these tough questions. Jeff out here writing, doing all his stuff, man. Make sure y'all check out Jeff, man. He's a valuable contributor to Knicks Universe, and
Sure.
and the rest of the channel. Queen Bee, you got time for a couple
Yeah,
more.
yeah, yeah. I'm
Okay,
good. Schedule's open.
okay. So let's do this. Where is one? There is something I want to. Okay, so here's the question, or here's the comment. Did the offseason acquisitions by the Knicks change the way the NBA views the Knicks?
In terms of not being that gritty team any longer, that defensive gritty team.
Hmm, I guess.
Is I mean, or change them in the sense that they're seen as more legitimate, a better team. Is that what you were getting at?
I don't know.
Um,
I'm asking on a surface level.
yeah, I don't think we're talking the media, the national media.
Everybody around the league viewing the entire Knicks organization.
I think the organization is viewed more seriously than they were 6 years ago before Leon Rose came around. Like we were a laughing stock.
Yeah.
I was watching an old Law and Order. They had a joke, a punchline on the Knicks. I'm like, wow,
I watched Seinfeld. They had a joke.
So I think as far as the organization is concerned, I think there's definitely more legitimacy, more respect for the organization. For this particular team, no. And I don't think us being non-competitive against the elite teams didn't help. So I think when we got out to that fast start and our offense was near elite, you would hear people talking about this Knicks team and how good they can be. Once teams started making adjustments and the Knicks had difficulty countering that,
Right.
it's the same. When I'm listening to people, whether that's national commentators, they're not taking the Knicks seriously at all. They don't think that many don't even think this is a championship or near championship contending team. So, um, and there's questions about our physicality and grit and mental fortitude as well.
Okay. So a couple of things, just a couple of things, real quick.
Mhm.
Um, when I heard you speak just now, the first thing I thought about was maybe the organization. I definitely think the narrative about the organization has changed, right? I honestly think the NBA knows that Leon Rose ain't nothing to play with,
Mhm.
right? That's what I think, and I think Worldwide West and them fellas have um, maneuvered around the league to let people know that the Knicks front office ain't nothing to play with,
Right.
right? You're not gonna. I think the Donovan Mitchell thing, the Donovan Mitchell thing was like the last straw in my mind, where the Knicks is like, nah, we ain't nothing. No, no, we ain't ready to play these games right here. You gonna respect us, right? And so with that, you see the Knicks do these small moves, and you like as a fan, you're like every trade that you see, you're like, dang, or every move you see, you're like, dang, man, how'd they pull that off? The Knicks won for the most part. I know some fans now will say the Knicks may not have won the Mikal Bridges trade, but in that moment, we felt like the Knicks won that Mikal Bridges trade, even though we gave up a lot. A lot of us are saying, man, we don't care nothing about no kids in seventh grade. You know, in terms of NBA talent. I mean,
Mhm.
in terms of NBA talent, right? So yeah, there was so there's that part to it. In terms of on the court, I think 51 wins is respectable. 50 wins in back-to-back seasons. I mean, you gotta. I don't know if teams respect us in that sense, but I really think I think the Knicks as an organization is building a resume to let people know that we ain't nothing to play with. 50 wins is a lot, and we probably could have won more, but Mitchell Robinson didn't show up and didn't get back until March 1st. Precious Achua missed the first 21 games. Landry Shamet missed 32 games, and when he came back, I was like, why that man's even got a jersey, right? But he had to work his way into
Right.
respectfully, he had to work his way into a coming off of a significant injury, right?
Right.
There was a time this year when our centers were Cat, Jumpman, and Aerial Hook Party. There were times in late in blowouts we were playing a dude named Matt Ryan
Hmm.
because of injuries, right? And now that we're on the other side of those injuries, we're thinking like internally, maybe not globally, maybe not globally, but internally, I think there's a championship confidence that the Knicks have, like a quiet confidence that I see them over there, all those wins. They beat us. Every time they beat us, somebody was out. But now that we're healthy, and now that Tom Thibodeau can scheme against one team for 2 weeks, I like our chances that Tom Thibodeau scheming for 2 weeks against one team and not having to scheme for a different team on a night to night basis is something that we should consider a feather in our cap. You remember when we used to wear feathers in our cap? You remember
Yeah.
when we used to wear feathers in our hair? I had, I had, I had a lady friend
Fact.
who used to put feathers in her hair. That's when we used to wear our hair big, right? We used to wear our hair big, not necessarily super neat. Like nowadays, we super neat with the hairstyles and all that stuff. So,
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah. Tom Thibodeau, he has time to get that game plan, but I think it's more about when things shift within the course of the game, what's going to happen.
ooh, you want to talk about the in-game adjustment part, or no?
We can.
Yeah, yeah. Um, my thing is with the in-game adjustment is I think we have a very smart coaching staff that wants to make in-game adjustments, but you're not going to turn Deuce McBride into Chris Paul, and DeLon Wright is not going to automatically somehow turn into SGA when Brunson's off the floor, right? Like you have to kind of play the hand that you're dealt, hoping that the guys can find a wide open 3 pointer as opposed to running intricate offense with guys that have only played together. Some of these guys haven't played together for only 4 months. So when you're talking about running intricate offense on second units with backside cutters and screens up top and all this stuff, PJ Tucker can do it because he's been in the league for 52,000 years, but he can't shoot and he can't dribble. But he knows all of his super high basketball IQ, right? But PJ Tucker is not going to be on the floor every night. PJ Tucker might not even take those warm ups off until the last time you saw PJ Tucker play is probably the next time you'll see PJ Tucker play, right? So you can't have basically what I'm getting at is you can run intricate things and but like the Portland game when Tibbs was trying to run intricate things to pop people open and get people free, and dudes is running into each other, and then you got three dudes standing side by side, basically holding hands. I think we have to I think we have to look at things in a context, so to speak. Maybe.
But what about adjustments such as who you have on the like who do you have on the floor? What about when we played Boston, 3 seconds left, the ball ended up in Josh Hart's hand. Now, I will say I don't know all of the factors that went into um, that decision. But with 3 seconds left, it wasn't because Josh Hart brings a lot of other things to the game other than spacing. But with 3 seconds left, I mean, at that point, you need a you need shooting. So, what about those type of adjustments? Like, maybe Hart could have been off the floor, and McBride or Shamit could have been on the floor. What about adjustments like that?
Okay.
What's your thoughts on that?
Okay. So I'll admit that I was lost in the beginning part then, because if we're talking about adjustments to schematics from another team, then what I said applies. But if we're talking about in-game strategy, like I think you're mentioning now, then I was off base with it, right?
No, I think it's both of it. Like
Okay,
counters, like schematics counters to what a team is doing,
right, right.
but then also what players should be in the game. What do we need right now, and what's the best lineup that should be in there? I consider that an adjustment too, more of a roster adjustment than a schematic adjustment.
Okay. So if that's the case, then I'm going to split my answers then, right?
Okay.
Because so the adjustments to personnel of the other coach puts on the floor, I think I give Tom Thibodeau probably a D plus because he's great at it at times, but the times that he's not great, it seems like the most crucial moment. It's like you know how you ready to go to work and you go outside and you look in the driveway and your car got a flat tire and you're like, oh man, I'm gonna be late for work. That's one flat tire scenario. But you know how is you coming home late, like 1 o'clock in the morning, and it's raining, and you on a road by yourself and you get a flat tire? That's a different flat tire type
Right.
scenario. You feel me?
Right.
But like you see how it's the same thing, but they have different weight to them. And
Right.
so my thing with what you just said, like that play, yo, somebody should have pulled Tom Thibodeau in a side room and talked to him about that immediately because those things cannot happen, right? And the reason why, and Queen B, I got to go on a mini tangent. I'm gonna try to keep it to like 30 seconds, right? The Boston Celtics entering that game only lost 2 games since the end of February, right? And you have them on the ropes, the hottest team in the NBA. You have them on the ropes. They cannot figure out your defense, right? Remember, that was a close game. Overtime, they just took overtime, they just dog walked us, right?
Mhm.
But up until that point, they were on the ropes. And what Tom Thibodeau reminded me of in that moment is in big moments when games really matter, something always happens. And then he'll get to the podium and say stuff, well, we always do such and such, man. We never foul a guy, in the thing. And in that moment, Josh is such a playmaker. That's see how
But
I
you
almost
don't
got
need the playmaking at that point.
right. And see, I almost got Lawrence Tears back in baby jail. I almost cussed just now. Man, I'm sorry about that, YouTube. Man, we trying to be good, YouTube. Matter of fact, y'all subscribe, like, share. Make sure y'all support Queen Bee and Ron. Ron's video is in the bio in the description below, man. Y'all please click on Ron's video, man. Yo, do a solid to your man's. Do a solid for Ron. Check out the video. It's a dope video. All right, so but those moments, Queen Bee, is they are despicable. They make you want to. You remember how your shows went after that happened? How people
Yeah.
want to fire Tom Thibodeau right
Yeah.
now, right? And so the thing about that is that there is not a hatred for Tibbs, right? But those moments where we like Tibbs, all we want you to do is prove to everybody that you can do it. And when we get to the moments, he always proves to everybody that he can't do it. And then he says stuff like, yeah, we always play drop coverage and never foul in those moments. Bro, why? First of all, you didn't foul. Second of all, you're in drop coverage against Jason Tatum when you know the game before that he scored 40 points in 3 quarters from that same spot, and you're in drop coverage trying to protect the rim when you
Why
have
would they in OG was in drop coverage? OG was on him.
no, OG was man. OG was man. Everybody else was dropped. Everybody
Oh, okay. Okay.
protected. Why are you protecting the paint when a 2-pointer don't hurt you? Right? You legit. Why are you? Everybody should be pressed up on the perimeter, trying not to give away a three. At that point, you can at least you have a man about 15 feet away from Tatum where he can rush over and double team. But you don't. You value rim protection in that moment when a two don't beat you. And then you telling everybody, well, this is what we do. We gotta focus. No, Tibbs, we asking you, bro. We're begging you in this moment. Show us that you can do it. Trust me, the Knicks fans. Listen, Tibbs, it's not about you. Knicks fans want to beat the Boston Celtics. It don't matter if it's late in the season. They're our rival. They're our rival. We want to beat them. The Cleveland game, if they beat us, we like to have it. It's not really that important in the grand scheme of things. But Boston, on the ropes, they lost 2 games since February. And we out here, OG up top, OG slipping and falling out there on Tatum, and now we're out here like, yeah, we could have did some stuff better. Again, the game never comes down to the final shot. All the stuff that you say when you lose, right? Because if we had won, he would never had said that stuff, right? He would never. But when you lose, hey man, we win as a team, we lose as a team, man. So Queen B, yes, I'm with you on the adjustment thing. Can we do late game things better? Absolutely. Is Tom Thibodeau up to the challenge of doing that?
Right. And then the players have to execute too. I mean, so Josh Hart could have made that shot. To me, it still wasn't a good decision, even if he made the shot. And then you could have had McBride in there. McBride could have missed the shot. In my opinion, it's still not a good decision. It was a good decision, even if, you know, he missed the shots. I know a lot of times as fans, we look at the result to judge whether or not it was a good decision or not, but that's usually not always the case.
But
Usually
the
not the
Celtics,
case.
if Deuce is in there though, think about it, if Deuce or Shamit is in the game, the Celtics call a different defense,
Yeah.
right? The reason why Josh Hart got that shot is because the Celtics had 5 defenders guarding 4 people. That's why Josh got the shot. Josh
Right.
wasn't smothered. They just when they saw Josh Hart was going to shoot, somebody just ran out there to contest it. They wasn't scared of Josh Hart in that sense, you know. And if it's a rebounding thing, why is he out there and not a big rebounder? So yeah, yes. Do I appreciate Tibbs for all the things that he contributes? Yes. Do I get what's the word? I'm gonna use the word savory. Do I get savory when Tom Thibodeau messed stuff up? Yes. Right. So do I talk a little salty when Tom Thibodeau, blunders? Yes. So
Let me ask you. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
What's your take on? I value your opinion on this. What's your take on McBride starting over Hart or getting at least more minutes than he does, which would lead to more of a 5-out offense? What's your take on that?
You made me smile just now. Yo, Queen Bee made me smile just now, y'all. Y'all should be hitting that like button and subscribing just off that by itself, right? The thing about Deuce, right? So if Deuce is in the game, you're talking about offense. I'm just going to switch to defense a little bit and then bring it back to offense. So
Okay.
when Deuce is in the game, Deuce is our point of attack defender, which
Correct.
means Bridges guards on the wing, which
Hmm.
means OG can zone up and just be our free safety instead of Josh
Right.
Hart being that guy,
Right.
right? Now, what that does is Deuce's value is highlighted there, but when we get back on offense, Deuce is not going to be creating offense. Deuce is going to be a spot up relocation shooter, right? But what that does though is it gives Mikal Bridges legs to create on offense. In an offense with Jalen Brunson, Cat, and Mikal Bridges creating on offense is all of a sudden something deadly. You can't cover it because even if you cover everybody, you're not going to be able to stop OG Anunoby drives to the rim because he's 6'7", 240 pounds, athletic, strong, and quick. All those things you want in a wing player, right? And generally,
Mhm.
teams will put their best wing defender on Jalen Brunson. So now you have your second or third best wing defender guarding OG Anunoby
Hmm.
in his feeding season. We saw it earlier in the year. We saw it when Bridges when Bridges is generating offense. OG Anunoby is going to dunk and Cat is going to hit threes. That's just how it unlocks the puzzle, so to speak.
Yeah.
Right.
So if I'm hearing you correct, go finish.
So the part B to that though is when you take one of those guys off the floor and you insert Josh Hart. Say you take Bridges off the floor. Now you have Bridges, Deuce. I mean, now you have Hart, Deuce, Brunson, Cat, and OG. I don't know. That's a lot of offense. But now you're basically what type of offense are you getting? Are you going to get back into um, um, heavy top of the key pick and roll with Cat and Brunson, hoping that your relocation shooters can relocate? Because I mean, so I guess in the grand scheme of things, I'm asking is if you put Deuce in, what's the Josh Hart side of it gonna look like?
You mean when he comes on the game? You don't think it'll look similarly to what it looks like when he starts?
It depends on like who's he subbing. Is he sub? Because if he's subbing out Deuce, of course,
Yeah. Okay.
right? But what if he's subbing out OG? Then what do we get?
Mm,
Or
yeah.
what if he subs out Bridges? Then you get Deuce, whose offense is coming along, but it's not Deuce's. Have you seen Deuce's numbers this season? His numbers are career lows just about across the board,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
But
so
those
and
on-off numbers are sparkling though, and that's what you
yeah,
hear people talk about, the on-off numbers. Yeah.
yeah, but that has something to do with who he's playing with,
Right.
right? And not what he's doing himself, right? And so, but I agree with man. I'm a Deuce fan. Shout out to Deuce because I think Deuce was at one point Deuce was a fan of Lawrence Tibbs. Um, I think somebody told me that Deuce used to watch the Knicks Morning Drive when we were able to do it. So
Mm.
shout out to him. But yeah, so to your point, is um, is change good? I would say yes, in a sense that when you try new things, you discover new things, right? You discover new things. You might discover some things you didn't know were out there, right? So I can dig that, right? At the same time, with Tom Thibodeau's margin of error being so thin with the fans, is he gonna be willing to tinker a little bit, or is job security more important than unlocking new things?
You think he's worrying about the fans, or you think he's worrying about proving to the front office and Dolan
Um,
that he's the guy to continue with this team?
that's a great question. You should have saved that for your show. That's a great.
I'll ask it again.
That's a super dope question. Um,
I mean, the flip side of that is, do you think the front office and Dolan are influenced by the fans?
yes, yep, absolutely. I think you the voice of the fans is. Have you ever been to New York?
I live in New York.
Do y'all know what New York City is like? Legit, I'm from New Jersey, right? I'm from Jersey City, New Jersey, right? I live in South Carolina. When I go to New York, it's just the whole everything is loud. Like you ain't even got to be saying nothing, and the whole city is loud, right? You gotta hear New York. So I guess the point that I'm getting at, the point that I'm getting at is this. Yes, Dolan is gonna be influenced by the fans,
Mhm.
right? Yes, he's gonna be influenced by the fans. Now, has Dolan been a great decision maker lately? I would say so. Because sometimes the best decision you make is the one you don't, right? So so is the front office going to be? Yes, they're going to be impacted, and there's going to be outside noise. ESPN's not going to stop talking about the Knicks, right? Whether the Knicks lose to the Pistons, lose to the Celtics, lose to the Cavs, or lose to the Lakers, the ESPN is not going to stop talking about the Knicks. So I think we're going to be impacted. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. If it's just a oh no, the Knicks lost again type scenario, I think Tibbs is safe.
Mhm.
If there is a banana in the tailpipe, circus music, monkey playing the cymbals type scenario, with a tiger jumping through a ring of fire, I think, yeah, I think there'd be some change, right? I think if it looks like a circus, right, I think it'll be, and I think it all starts tomorrow night. If the Knicks don't come out strong tomorrow and flex their 50 win, we're finally healthy muscle, then there are going to be some change. Because I am in the mindset that even if Tibbs loses this first game, even though it's one game, even though we're hardcore fans and want, if they lose tomorrow night, there are going to be some air out of the balloon. Knicks fans will be deflated some, not
For
totally,
sure. For sure.
not totally, because if you, in the grand scheme of things, yes, the Knicks can beat the Pistons 4 out of 6. Yes, this is how we got the 50 wins because the Knicks are good. But the Pistons are also 3-1 against the Pistons this season, right? And if they win game one, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. But will you be looking at how the Knicks lost, like I talked about earlier, or will you just be looking at the Knicks loss as Tom Thibodeau, or will you be looking at was it the schemes, was it the rotations, or was it players not showing up, not shooting? Well, how will you be assessing it?
I'm assessing it as it's easier to move one coach than it is to move 17 players. Ain't nothing new. You a hooper. You know there is nothing new in there is nothing new in basketball that has been created for about 40 years. It's just a combination of things that you do in basketball, right? There is nothing new. There are only so many pin downs, flare screens, pick and rolls, two-way goals, alley oop. There's only so many things in basketball that you can combine to create something new, right? So you're not gonna Tibbs. There's nothing new that he can create, right? Right. So he's probably seen it all, right? We got to trust that that man that has seen it all is able to get us over the hump in big moments. And if he can't, then I like Tibbs, but everything has a shelf life.
I just think that a coach can't get you over the moments. The players do get you over the big moments. The players do. Now, if the coach, is making it hard for the players because he's not putting the right combination of players in the game or he's not countering, I think that is legit. Tom Thibodeau needs to go. But if he's doing those things and the Knicks are not getting timely shots and the Knicks are not getting timely shots or the Knicks are shooting 25% from three, which we've seen this season, or 26% from three, I don't know how you can point to the coach and just be like, basically what I'm hearing is it doesn't matter if the players don't show up. That doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you pulled all the right strings. If the players don't show up and we lose this game or we lose this series, you're gone. I don't know if I agree with that.
I'm with it. I do because I hear too many. I hear people say too many cliches. Like the cliches are, "Hey man, just cut the head off the snake." Well, who's the head of the snake? Tips, right? Or there are so many cliches out there, and so when somebody texted me and said, If Budenholzer and Mike Malone can be fired, who is Tom Thibodeau?
Of course,
Right?
Tom Thibodeau can be fired. I'm not saying he can't be fired, and I'm not saying he shouldn't be fired. I'm
Right.
saying that the Knicks organization, if even if it's not the fans, should be able to discern, was it the coach or the players not showing up?
Right. Right. Yeah,
That's all I'm saying.
I'm with you. But here's the thing. How many players are you going to hold? Okay. See, because the thing is what if say for instance, say Cat doesn't show up in the say Cat just averages 16-9 against the Pistons. Are you going to bench him against the Celtics?
No, but why is he 16 and 9? Is he 16 and 9 because there's something they're doing to limit his effectiveness,
Right.
and we didn't have a counter to that? That's on Thibodeau.
Right.
Is it that there was a counter and Cat just wasn't executing, he wasn't hitting the shot? That happens. That happens. You get your shot, you don't. Or was it just Cat just being in la la land and uh, not being his best self despite the schematics? And you
Right.
understand what I'm saying?
I do.
To me there to me there's a difference, and I just think that if not the fans, the front office should be able to discern that, you know.
But what do you do though? What's your recourse?
I think what are you going to do? You're not going to trade Cat. You just got to hope that the next playoffs that he's better.
But if Tom Thibodeau has an underwhelming performance, what's your
That's
course of
different.
what's your
That's
recourse?
different.
Yeah,
Then he
yeah,
has to
that's what I was
go.
saying. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like when you said
I
the
mean,
second
but
hell again.
I get what you're saying. The coach has a shorter leash than a player because it's easier to get rid of the coach. I agree with you. I'm just saying there needs to be cause. That's all I'm saying. Like I'm not
I
firing a coach because Cat didn't show up for a series. But this has happened in the league. I'm not saying Doc Rivers is the greatest coach, but he's been in situations with Harden, and was it when he was in the Clippers where
Chris
game
Paul is
six,
playing. Yeah,
game seven, these guys don't show up for game seven, and the coach gets fired. If your best players don't show up, you're gonna lose.
period. That's just how it works. That's life. If you ever managed a staff, you already know that the staff's performance, the staff's performance is judged by the manager, right? That's it, right? That's just it. If you've ever managed people, you know your boss is not going to be like, "Hey, man, why Spinderella is over there DJing and he's over here working, right? Why is Rakim over there rapping and he's supposed to be over here on his telephone, right?" That they
I hear you.
they're not going to go to that person and be like, "Spinderella, put those records up." Like, hey, Uncle Freezie, let me talk to you for a second. I hear out the door or in the conference room. Where you want me to go? Wherever. I just need to talk to you right now, right? And so the thing with Tibs is I don't want to see that man go because I legit think that man is trying new things. But the thing that I see and the thing that I value is vastly outweighed by the thing that you pointed out, in-game adjustments and schematics type stuff, right? I just can't take it no more, Queen Bee. It's one of those things that I like Tibbs, right? But just these small things, it's like just can't deal with it. And if that rears its ugly head in the playoffs again, then I'll be open for the decision for that conversation.
Yeah. I listen, I respect your basketball knowledge, and no disrespect to the fan base. There are certain people when they talk about schematics and this wasn't done and this should have been done, it like I can listen to, but there's many of us, myself included, that don't understand the NBA, the intricacies of an NBA offense like that. And so it's just the Knicks lost, Tibbs didn't make adjustments. The Knicks won, Tibbs made adjustments. The Knicks, and I'm like,
No,
okay. And then when you ask for specifics, nobody can tell you anything other than no, the adjustments weren't
I
made.
can tell
So
you.
oh,
I
I
can tell
know
you.
that.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Like in 10 seconds, I can tell you when the Knicks win. When the Knicks win, and this is a formula. So chat. This is what you need to be mindful of. When the Knicks win, the Knicks have offensively an open paint that can be attacked from every angle, i.e., OG Anunoby and Karl Anthony Towns, right? And then attacked adjacently by guys that love to shoot the mid range, Bridges and Brunson, right? Defensively,
Mm.
when the Knicks win, we cover our perimeter, not our paint, right? Not our paint, but we covered the perimeter so much that we forced the other team inside of the arc where we forced them to the paint. Right? I mean, we're in a 3 point shooting era. And when you force teams off the 3 point line and force them to take mid ranges, that's where we thrive because now when they miss in those mid ranges, even with the long because think about it, they're closer to the rim, but they're getting the same length on the rebound as they would if they shot a three. And we can thrive in that because Josh Hart gets us out in transition and gets us easy offense, right? So that's those two things are in about 20 seconds. That's where we are, Queen Bee. We got to do those two
Mm.
things, especially against the Pistons.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm here for it.
All right, all right. Hey, everybody, thank y'all for coming through. Right, Queen Bee, you got something else before we get out of here?
Yes, I'll be on Sunday morning with the recap of the game. And actually, Jeff can't make it this Sunday, but every morning, probably around 8 a.m. after the Knicks play, if it's a weekday game, we'll be on with a recap. And then, of course, the weekly show. We're moving it this week because the Knicks play Thursday, so it'll be Tuesday um, instead of Thursday. And then, of course, Mondays I'm on Nothing But Knicks for Queen's Court.
Salute to nothing but Knicks.
Absolutely.
One of these days, our channels are going to be big like that. Hopefully this
Yeah,
year.
for sure.
So hopefully this year will be big like that. Salute to the Pie Father Sam Russell. Shout out to Tony Crow too. By the way, I've been meaning to. You talked to Tony lately?
Yeah, yeah. I spoke to him a few days ago, actually.
That's my man. I gotta
Yeah,
make sure I call him.
yeah,
And I keep saying that and I don't.
yeah,
That's my bad.
yeah, yeah.
Shout out to Still Knicks fans. Shout out to Ron. And make sure y'all click on the video, subscribe, like, share, comment. We out of here, y'all. Peace.